Chinese regime is brainwashing even more children. And it's even creepier than before. Welcome to John Uncensored, I'm Chris Chappell. The Chinese Communist Party is committing genocide against the Uyghurs, a mostly Muslim ethnic minority that lives in Xinjiang, in northwest China. That genocide has been confirmed by the US government, the UK Parliament, and an independent tribunal. Of course, the Chinese Communist Party denies everything. I'm so surprised that people at a Chinese embassy press conference denied that China was committing genocide. Since 2017, the Chinese Communist Party has been locking up Uyghurs in concentration camps, as many as 1 to 2 million, according to credible reports. The Chinese regime has repeatedly maintained the camps are voluntary vocational education and training centers. They defend their actions by saying that they're fighting terrorism. You know, fighting terrorism by using rape to torture people. But let's not forget who the real victims are in this whole thing. The Chinese Communist Party. Yes, Chinese state-run media takes the extra step to frame China as the victim when it comes to Xinjiang. You see, Western media's smearing on Xinjiang is part of a hegemonic scheme to destroy China. You got me. It was a hegemonic scheme. That's just what Americans do. We scheme hegemonically. But by sending Uyghurs to these camps, the Chinese Communist Party isn't just trying to re-educate them. They're also trying to break apart Uyghur families by targeting their children. You see, if you lock up all the adults in a family, including parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles, who will take care of the kids? The answer is the state. They basically turn kids into orphans by taking their families away, and then send them to boarding schools where they are abused and brainwashed. This isn't a new thing. The Chinese Communist Party has been doing this for decades. During the Cultural Revolution, people who were counter-revolutionaries had their kids taken away and raised in orphanages by the state. But it's happening in Xinjiang now on a huge scale. The European Union Parliament reported research that 880,000 children had been placed in boarding schools by the end of 2019. Some estimate that there are now over 1 million kids in these facilities, and that the majority of Uyghur middle school children are in these children's indoctrination camps. And the indoctrination is a big reason for doing this. That's according to Marco Respinti, who runs Bitter Winter, a magazine documenting religious persecution in China.
And this is a very clever move that the CCP makes, because he understands the importance of education, and they try to indoctrinate to the communist ideology these young children, starting from a very young age.
Yes, if you want to brainwash kids into your communist ideology, you got to start them young. Maybe that's why certain areas have quotas for how many children must be institutionalized. How do they indoctrinate the kids in these institutions? Well, we found some online videos that show just how fun brainwashing can be. Here we have Uyghur children singing, you guessed it, everyone's favorite communist song. Without the Communist Party, there would be no new China. And like I said earlier, you gotta start them when they're young. And here's a fun game, everyone. Prove that you're Chinese with one sentence.
请你们用一句话证明你是中国人。
为中华之崛起而读书，
有幸生于华夏。
Okay, that doesn't sound too bad so far, but it gets worse.
我们应该要筑牢毛主席说过的一句话，要好好学习，天天向上。如果青天有颜色，那就是中国红。
台湾是中国不可分的一部分。
我骄傲，我是中国人。
At this point, this isn't brainwashing, it's brain manufacturing.
新疆是中国领土不可分割的一部分。
好好学习，天天上上是我们的职责。
庆幸自己生长在中国。
When we showed you the videos in this episode of Chinese students being brainwashed about Russia's invasion of Ukraine, that was creepy. But when this indoctrination is being done to an ethnic minority as part of a larger genocide campaign, that's even worse. And that's why we need more people to know what the Chinese Communist Party is doing to the Uyghurs. So share this episode with your friends and family. We've also got this t-shirt so you can share your disapproval of the Chinese regime's ethnic cleansing in a more tongue-in-cheek way. It's a conversation starter. Speaking of conversations, now it's time for me to answer a question from a fan of the show who supports us on the crowdfunding website Patreon or the exclusive social media platform Locals. Steve C. asks, Chris, the CCP claims that it will develop a trustworthy society through the implementation of millions of security cameras, AI technology, and the social credit system. Doesn't anyone find it a little ironic that the CCP can make these claims while it simultaneously is committing genocide and using rape as a form of torture? Well, Steve, that's the thing about the CCP. They're lying. Those surveillance cameras, AI technology, and the social credit system aren't to make society more trustworthy. They're to make society more fearful of the Chinese Communist Party, and it's working. The question is, do we in the rest of the world who aren't subject to the CCP's control, do we believe their lies? Do we support their system economically and politically? It's time to wake up and stop doing that. Thanks for your question, Steve C. Thank you for supporting us on Locals. If you'd like to join us and see our exclusive content on Locals, come check it out at chinauncensored.locals.com. Thanks for watching. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.